nothing else in her way, with revenge on this November day. Watch her now, she'll have her way, and everything's coming up Rodham. What a blast, free at last. Her low profile, a thing of the past. Clear the decks, the boats are cast, and everything's coming up Rodham. Fasten your seat belts, Hillary's on a roll. Things are humming. Her campaign 2000 is coming. Telegrams by the ton. Mrs. Roosevelt's calls on line 1. Eleanor, we won 4 more. And give our best wishes to Franklin. Invitation, flowers and maybe champagne. In the rose garden, a table for signing the pardon. Second term, deed is done. We got co-presidents for everyone. Ditto if Dole had won. 'Cause Hillary and Elizabeth are mutually seen. Forget about cookies in either regime. And everything's coming up Rodham for me and for you. Thank you. Thank you. I used to write for Bob Dole. I did years ago. He'd be making a speech and he would want jokes, and you know, I did it for my country. For example, you know how Mr. Dole occasionally lets a sentence trail off, and then he says, "Whatever." I wrote that. Whatever is mine. The first debate was in the city of Hartford, Connecticut. Now, I was in Hartford a couple of days before it, and they were all excited, you know. They said this is going to be great for tourism, and they were touting all of the sights of the city of Hartford. The Harriet Beecher Stowe House, if you've been there, the Mark Twain House, of course, and the Dick Morris Center for the Performing Arts. Now, more on that later. Now, you know, I thought Dole did very well in the debates. First of all, I should have said this earlier, he has nothing to be ashamed about, and he did fine in the debates, which is to say he did not fall off the stage. Now, these things happen, as he had done a few weeks earlier. I mean, these things happen, believe me. I mean, I have fallen off the stage in my time, although I just never heard of anybody doing it sober. He never referred to the Brooklyn Dodgers as he had earlier. Young people didn't know that the Dodgers left Brooklyn in 1957. It was a generational blooper. That's okay. And then he went to Memphis to visit Graceland and lay a wreath on the tomb of Bing Crosby. Well, then came the third. Now, the third debate was in San Diego. That's a Republican town. But those people in San Diego that night did Bob Dole no favors. He had some very impressive answers. It's too bad the audience didn't have the questions that went with those answers. I mean, they did not ask Clinton any of the tough questions about the scandals and the character questions. They didn't ask any of that. So Dole had to drop in his own answers, no matter what the question was, you know? I mean, talking about Medicare, just drop in Indonesia, barroom bouncer, pot-smoking staff. It's kind of like, it's kind of like subliminal advertising. How a movie theater would flash the word popcorn on the screen for about 1/100th of a second, and the audience really doesn't see that, but all of a sudden they have this craving for popcorn. Well, that's what Dole should have done, subliminal advertising in his speeches. For example, he should have said, "With my 15% tax, Paula Jones, cut. We can create more adultery jobs. Get America moving, Susan McDougal again. On into the 21st draft Dodger century." But none of that. None of that helped Bob Dole. The character thing did not help him to get any kind of a gain in the polls, and how frustrating it must have been the last several months. And this was going through Mr. Dole's mind at the time. Media tried to spoil it. Campaigns in the toilet, my election's down the drain. Clinton scandals mounting faster, but for him, it's no disaster, and I never got a gain. Clinton's passed with foxy lookers and a staff that hangs with hookers, but the voters don't complain. If I was never in the service, or my wife made people nervous, maybe then I'd get a gain. My generation set the moral standards the people ignore. Why, if I was any more moral, I'd be down another 10 points more. Oh, I have no sleazy history. The polls remain a mystery, and I read them with disdain. Would I have a chance of winning if Kemp and I both did some sinning, just enough to get a gain? If I had to do it over again, I'd risk one of Clinton's flaws. I could win if I invested in property. Down in Arkansas, I hate losing to this boy who gave comfort to Hanoi and a free ride to Hussein. I must be ready for the showers. Walter Mondale sent me flowers, and I never got a gain. Well, as I said, he has nothing to be ashamed of. And people say, well, it was the people around Bob Dole. They're to blame. You know, there might be something to that. I mean, who was it on the Dole staff who last summer made the decision, this is true, that he spend his 73rd birthday in a nursing home? Now, that escaped me. I didn't get it. You know, I thought, well, maybe they want to put out the message that he was not arriving at the nursing home with his own personal belongings, you know. The flannel robe and the pajamas with the feet in them. Now, actually, 73 is not old anymore. No, 73 is the square root of Strom Thurmond. Senator Thurmond, God love him, he's 20 years older than Bob Dole, and he was reelected down there in South Carolina yesterday. I tell you, if Thurmond were to ever lose an election, I think the Capitol building would collapse. I really do. I really do. But 73 is not old. No, no. I mean, there are 43-year-olds who are old. Yeah. There are 93-year-olds who are young. There are 120-year-olds who are dead. There are 100-year-olds just hanging on long enough to get a lousy 10-second greeting from Willard Scott. So, they locked Ross Perot out of the debates, and nobody could figure that out, you know. And even Perot said, that's weird, which is... It's like Ross Perot saying something is weird, I guess. But I think I know why Dole asked Perot for his support, if you think about this for a minute, because anybody who thinks he can balance the budget with a 15% tax cut will also believe he can win the election with Perot's 5% of the vote. So they locked Perot out of the debate. So what did Perot say? I'm going to debate with myself. Well, he did, and he lost.